Hey guys, welcome back to Snack Time. My name is Ben, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up Ubuntu server. One of my subscribers requested that we run through the process because he wants to install Ubuntu on a laptop that he has and use that for a home lab. That's totally cool. Ubuntu server will support most all hardware, but if it doesn't, there's ways around that. You can look for drivers online. I don't have an old laptop hanging around to show you this on, so I'm going to show you how to do it on a virtual machine, but the steps should be pretty much identical. If you have any questions or comments, during or after the video, leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Let's go ahead and jump in so that I can show you the process. All right, so I'm just going to start off at a web browser and let's just head off to ubuntu.com. All right, so the products, let's see what we got here. I want to go for Ubuntu server. And let's just go ahead and download it. All right, so I'm going to go for, it looks like 24.041. The version number might have changed by the time you're watching this video, but this is LTS. That means long-term support. So you shouldn't have a problem getting security updates for this. It looks like it's 5 years of free security and maintenance updates, extended to 10 years with Ubuntu Pro, but I don't think we're going to really need that. Honestly, in 5 years, I would be surprised if you're running the same version of Ubuntu. So let's go ahead and download this. And let's see here. All right, download should start here in a second. And one of the first things that we'll have is to pick a place where we're going to save our ISO. Save that. All right, so while that's downloading, I'm going to assume that you are going to install this on another piece of hardware. So I want to show you another thing that we're going to be using to write the data from this ISO to a USB drive so that you can boot that on your laptop. So the one that I like to use is called Rufus. It works really well. If you have problems, there's also other ones like I think it's like Etcher is another one. But let's just go ahead and search for Rufus. All right, here we go. All right, so all we need to do is just hit the download for right here. Cool. You can do the portable version, which doesn't require you to install anything, or the one that does require you to install something is the standard. I'm just going to go and choose the standard and save this. And while that's downloading, Rufus will be really fast, but the Ubuntu will take a little bit more time. Let's go ahead and run the installation for Rufus. Right here, it's just going to ask you a couple of very simple questions. If we had a thumb drive plugged in, which I should have one around here somewhere, let's dig one up so that I can show you what it looks like. All right, so as soon as I plugged it in, it comes up and identifies my thumb drive. Now, you are probably going to need one that's a little bit bigger than 1 gigabyte, but honestly, you're probably going to have a really hard time finding a 1 gig flash drive anywhere. So pretty much anything over like a 4 would be fine. So once our ISO is done downloading, we're just going to hit select ISO. And then we're going to pick our Ubuntu server. And once we have selected that, it really just is a matter of hitting start. I'm not going to hit it here because it's just not enough room to make it. But once it gets done, you're ready to take this USB drive and take it over to your Linux server or your laptop and boot from that. So the boot instructions for your laptop may be different. Like a lot of them, like Dell's, they use like F12. You start tapping F12 as soon as you turn the machine on, and it'll bring up a boot window. Now, like I said, we're going to be doing this virtually, so it's going to be a little different, but like the steps on the installation, like I said, is going to be very, very similar. It's just getting up to that point may require you to do a little bit of research on the manufacturer of your laptop. All right, so let's assume that everything went fine and you were able to boot up to this screen. I hope that's the case. So our very first thing that we want to do is to try or install Ubuntu server. So it's going to go through a bunch of boot up processes and everything, and installing drivers and mounting file systems and activating network cards and pollinating seeds of pseudo random number generators. So we're gonna let it finish that. All right, now it's going to ask us what language we're going to be using. I'm going to attempt to use the English language and hit next. I'm going to continue without updating the installer, and I'm going to hit done. For this option, I am going to choose the minimized version, just because I don't want a bunch of stuff installed that I'm not going to be using. Next up, I'm going to search for third-party drivers, just in case I'm missing something. Next. It should have picked up an IP address for us, and this is going to be the way that it's also going to reach out and get the most updated version of the packages that we are going to be installing. So next, I'm not going to use a proxy address, and the mirror that it chose is fine by me. All right, so now it's going to be asking us, do we want to use the entire disk? Do we want to maybe do a custom storage layout? Do we want to encrypt this? Do we want to use logical volume management? And I'm going to say yes, I do want to use logical volume management. I'm not going to encrypt my drive. My server's not going to go anywhere. But if you feel like you need to encrypt yours, hey man, that is totally up to you. Also, we are using the logical volume management system because this gives you the ability to resize and increase your partition size while actively being and using the server, which is really awesome, especially if you do need to expand the, a partition here or there and move something around. You don't have to shut the server completely down in order to do that. So next up, we are going to hit done. And now it's just telling us this is what we're going to do. It's going to use the slash up here. This is our root file system. The size is going to be 14 gigs. The boot partition is going to be about 2. And this is what it's going to do as well. It's going to create this 28 gig partition, or group rather, and it's going to give us some free space to play around with. You can resize that later on and use that entire space, or you can create new groups, but I am not going to do that. I'm going to leave pretty much everything alone and let it do its own thing. All right, so selecting continue will be installation, all the data will be lost. Are you sure you want to do this? Bad things will happen. Continue. All right, now it's asking us for the very first username. Now, this is not the root username. You're not going to sign in with root. You will change to root whenever you need to, but your initial user will just have kind of some, like they call it pseudo privileges. All right, so I'm going to choose Ben. My server name will be Nick's laptop. My username here is going to be Ben as well. And my password is going to be something I can easily type and remember. All right, and it's going to say, hey, do you want to do Ubuntu Pro for security? No, I don't, actually. I'm just going to skip this. Install SSH server? Yes, might as well. You're going to need that anyway, especially if you're going to need to gain access to your server, which you are. Just remember the prompt the interface that you're going to be looking at when this thing is booted up. It's just going to be command prompt, and if you're comfortable with using that at the machine itself, that's totally up to you. I prefer to be able to do it from the comfort of my own computer. So all right, so no third-party drivers are available locally or online. Cool, that's fine. Just maybe that means I have all of them. It's also going to give you the option to do some popular snaps or software to install on your computer, and I like to skip this because I'm just going to install what I need when I need it. All right, while it's doing this, it'll install software. It'll get all your environment set up. And here in a little bit, we'll come back here and I will show you that it's all done. It will give you this option at the very bottom before we kind of jump to the end. This cancel, update, and reboot. I don't like to do that. I'm fine with letting it go ahead and update itself and get everything all patched. And then when it comes back, it'll be a fresh operating system, all updated. I won't have to do any sort of updates. So I will see you in just a little bit. All right, now that we're all done there, let us reboot. All right, once we're signed in, we can do a very simple command to find out our IP address so that we can sign in with our terminal. And let's do an IP space A. And you'll see the very first IP address that is not a local host is the number 2 right there, ENPOS3. And it's saying that my IP address is 192.168.0.238. So let's take that IP address and let's type in SSH 192.168.0.238 into our terminal window. And I'm going to hit yes. I do want to go ahead and connect. And the password that I established. So it's a lot easier to copy and paste commands when you're working with your terminal window instead of at the physical machine. And that's why we went ahead and signed in here. So now our next step will be to install Docker. And for that, there's a very easy way to do this. So let's head off to Google yet again. And let's just do a Docker server install Ubuntu. And Docker makes it really easy to find what we're looking for. We're just going to install Docker engine on Ubuntu. And then we're going to scroll down and look at the different installation methods. I think we should probably just go ahead and do this very first one. It's very easy to do, and the link is also super easy to find. So it's going to say that, it's going to want us to type in all of these commands, and we could copy and paste them, but we need to do something else before we do that. If we copy and pasted those commands, sudo is going to ask us what our password is one more time, and it's going to screw the rest of those commands up. So I'm going to do something very simple. Just going to do a sudo ls and let it get that password prompt out of the way. Now I'm going to jump back over here, copy these commands, come back over and paste them. Yep. And let's go ahead and hit enter. Okay, yeah, it did write a file into our Etsy apt folder. So let's hop on over there, make sure that it did what it was supposed to. And it's going to be under the sources list.d, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, should be a Docker. Yeah, there it is. There's the Docker text file. And all that Docker text file is just telling Ubuntu where to find the information and the files pertaining to the Docker installation. And let's scroll down a little bit and let's find this last command here. I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to paste it and hit yes. All right, it's asking which services should be restarted. I'm just gonna hit none for now because I'm gonna go ahead and reboot the computer. All right, so we are all done installing and we can check that out. We can run this Docker run hello world. Let's see if we can run that without a reboot. All right, yep, hello from Docker. Cool. All right, now that we have Docker set up, everything seems to be happy. Let's go ahead and reboot, and then I'm going to show you really quickly how we can install Portainer so that you can get everything that you need to really tackle most open source projects, especially the ones where I'm showing you how to use Portainer and Nginx Proxy Manager to get that set up. I'm not going to cover Nginx Proxy Manager in this video, but if you look at one of my previous videos where I showed you how to build a Linux server on the cloud, steps are exactly the same. So let's go and I'm going to do a sudo reboot. Again, mine is virtual, but yours will be pretty much exactly the same. I'm going to hit the up arrow and reconnect, type in my password. And again, I'm going to be running a sudo command, but I think it's just one line, but let's just do this to be on the safe side. Let's do a sudo ls, get that initial prompt out of the way. I could have also switched to the root username, but this is just fine. All right, so for this one, what we want to do is we want to install Portainer CE. It's the community edition, unless you paid for the full-blown version. And if you did, hey, kudos. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do install and Ubuntu. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and go to this first article. And let's scroll down and look for deployment. Awesome. Here is our command line. This is going to be running a Docker and get all of our stuff up and going. All right, cool. I'm going to copy this command and I'm going to paste it in here. All right, so let's take a look at this command and just break it down so you know what it's doing. The first thing it's going to do is run Docker, and it's going to run this container in daemon mode. That's what that /d is for. Next up is port. It's going to open up two ports. It's going to open up 8000 and 9443. It's going to be using, oh, and by the way, if you do have other containers that are using port 8000, you can change this. 8000 is used for, Portainer to Portainer communication, and they also have something called it's like Edge, and that makes it so that the Portainers can be used and together in kind of a cluster type of thing. But if you're not going to be doing that, you don't even have to open up port 8000 if you don't want to. All of our interaction is mostly done through 9443. Next up is the restart policy. That is always, and that just says that if the Docker machine goes down and it boots back up, Portainer is always going to restart with it. There's a couple of different restart policies that you can do, but always is great, especially for Portainer and if you're primarily managing your Docker with that. Next, we're going to establish a volume connection so we can get some information about our Docker server. And then we are going to do another volume for our Portainer data. And that's going to be established with this Portainer_data volume pointing to the data directory. Lastly, we have our Portainer username on Docker Hub pulling this Portainer instance. You can, if you want to, change this to latest. And that way, I think it'll pull like the latest version that's out there. So there's one thing that we're going to need to do to this command before we run it. We're going to have to add sudo. Otherwise, it's not going to work. All right, so let's hit enter on this guy. It's going to go out, grab the image, do all the installation for us, and we should be good to go. If you want to make sure that we are up and going, we can do a quick little sudo docker ps, and that will show you all the containers that are running. And we can see right here we have Portainer, and it has been up for 11 seconds. And here are the ports that are open. Cool. Right. So now let's do this. Let's take this computer's IP and let's hop over to our web browser and let's paste it in here. And I'm going to put :9443. It's going to tell us, hey, man, this is a secured connection. You're not secured, so get out of here. I'm going to add HTTPS in front of that with a colon and a //. Or is that //? I don't know. You tell me in the comments. All right, cool. This is not private. That's fine. It's not a published cert. This is okay. This is normal. Nothing to worry about. Your information is still being encrypted. It's just not through a trusted certificate. All right, so it's going to ask us for an initial password to set up and also username. I like to change both of these because admin is a common username. I don't want it to be hammered away. All right, so let's just come up with a password. All right, cool. And let's hit create user. All right, cool. We're in here. It's saying add environments, get started. Hit home. Boom, here is our local server. We can click into it and we can click into containers. And here's all the containers that we have. Remember, we do have our hello world right here, and I can select it and remove it and delete it. Cool. So now we only have our Portainer installation running. All right, so that pretty much covers, you know, the whole installation. It's very easy, right? It's super easy. It's definitely something that you're going to be able to do, not a problem. Honestly, the hardest part of this whole thing that you're going to be running into is probably just finding out how to boot to the USB drive. That's going to be the big mystery question that I can't really solve for you. But honestly, Google's your friend. Type in your manufacturer, ask it, hey, how do I boot to a USB in this? And Bob's your uncle. It should be good to go. I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope this answers some questions and will really inspire you to set up your own home lab, no matter what kind of machine you're running it on. So if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. If you did find this video helpful, please consider liking or subscribing, or both. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.